Hey everybody, thanks for clicking. I appreciate that. So here I am just taking my new stump grinder off of this trailer, getting used to the track machine. Watch this thing tilt. The first time you do this, your heart stops. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to tip this machine over. There it goes. Look at. Oh. It's pretty stable, actually. You get used to it. But the first couple times you do it, it's like, wow, that's crazy. Lessons learned. I tell you, if you're going to buy any kind of heavy equipment, just go ahead and spend the money. Get a nice tilt trailer. Make life easier for yourself. It works so much better. Anyway, enough rambling there. So I was just reminiscing back about how I started in business in general. You know, I kind of retired from I don't want to say 9 to 5 because it was a hell of a lot longer than that, but a job. And I says, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to work for myself. And I started out fixing lawnmowers because, I don't know, I just knew how to fix them. So I started fixing some machines and equipment, snow blowers, whatever. But people always have a need for that, And then I got into the lawn mowing. And I'll tell you, lawn mowing it's a really good business because once you establish some pretty good accounts, you don't have to go looking for the work. It's there every week. You do your route, you get paid, you get extras, hedges, things, cleanups, fall, spring cleanups. So it's really not a bad gig. The problem with mowing, at least for me, was the repetitiveness started to get like, oh man, and I got more and more accounts, and then it was just like, well, if it rains one day, then it puts you back, and it just kind of turns into a routine. And, for some people, that is fantastic. And like I said, you don't have to go looking for work, But I wanted to venture out into some other things. And as I'm getting a little bit older, I was like, well, what can I venture into that isn't going to be brutally hard on my body? What could I do? So I started with the tractor, and we started with like brush clearing. And I love that. And that's still one of my favorite extras or jobs that we do is clearing brush, down trees, that kind of stuff. But we had done several cleanups, and there was these huge stumps, and like stumps are pretty brutal. You can't move them unless you have a pretty large excavator. You can't dig them out and then moving that in there. And so anyway, that's how we got into this stump grinding stuff, And then I don't know if you've seen some of my other videos. We started out with a couple smaller stump grinders, and then we ventured up to like the 382, which is like a 37 horsepower gasoline stump grinder. I mean, it's no joke. It's a pretty serious machine, but it just wasn't going to do what you're seeing happening right here at any kind of decent speed, So we took the leap of faith and we got into this much bigger stump grinder. So to say that we're vested into the stump grinding business, yeah, we're vested. But so far, so good. I like it. This is the type of machine here. This is the SC48, 48 horsepower diesel. This thing's a beast. Yes, there's bigger machines. Yes, they cost a whole lot more money. So, we had to draw the fine line of what are we going to spend on this deal? And this is the machine that we went with. We went brand new. Actually, it was a demo. It had a couple hours on it, but pretty much brand new machine. And it really just does the work you need it to do. You know, I probably have about 5 or 6 years in the landscaping business, so, you know, we know a few people. We have a lot of contacts. I can find the work. It's not that difficult, but it's also not the one and only thing we do. So the cool thing about it is, like, you can get a few jobs and you can kind of line them up for, like, all right, next week we have 2 or 3 of these stump jobs, you know, and that works out great because you kind of set them up and then they're there for you, and then you go out and you make a pretty good chunk of change when you do a few of these jobs in a row. And then in the meantime, when you're not, we still have the lawn mowing every week, and we have plenty of other cleanups. We have all our seasonal cleanups, which, you know, they're great money. We have some pretty good equipment that lets us do that. I remember starting out with a leaf blower. It was like a 5 horsepower walk behind push blower, and I thought, oh yeah, we can make some money with this. Yeah, you can, but let me tell you, as you get bigger and older, you start to get a little bit more intelligent when it comes to what kind of equipment can make you the right kind of money, you know? Hence this big stump grinder that we got into. So back to the stump grinding. I really just like it because it's kind of like the finalizer of the land clearing. You know, we can knock these stumps out. We can go way down below the surface if it's like on a grass area. Bring in the topsoil and get that all seeded up. And some of these areas that we do like some land clearing, like this one in particular, this is kind of like the excess of a backyard. But after we get the stumps out of there, you know, we take the tractor, we kind of grade it out a little bit, we run the flail mower over it, and like you now have, you know, areas that people can maintain themselves. And that's a big selling feature because it's like, well, we can clear these areas out and smooth them enough where people can maintain the areas themselves with a mower. You know, you can, even if you have to put the deck up a little higher, you can run over certain areas and keep it from getting out of control, because especially where we are here up in the Northeast, you know, the weeds and the saplings, they come in fast. Gets pretty out of control. So far, so good. You know, we've put a lot of trial into the stump grinding business. We learned a lot of lessons. We're still learning as we're going. But, you know, we figured out how to make this profitable and giving us a specialty item that, you know, your basic homeowners can't do. That's what we try to do. It's like we can come in and do these types of jobs for people, make it easy. We make some money. They're happy. And so far, so good. So that's pretty much it. We're going to wrap this video up here. I'm just going to finish this last stump. I think we did like 6 or 7 at this job today. And yeah, it worked out great. Everybody was happy. We made a nice chunk of change here. And we got some good experience with the new machine. Got everything cleaned up. And then we're going to get ready to go on to our next adventure. But got any questions about stump grinding or starting the stump grinding business, please feel free. Down in the comments there, you know, leave us some questions. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. And there you go. Finished. Nothing but chips. Check out our other videos if you like this content. We got lots of them. Thanks, everybody. Peace.